You're on. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
Good morning, class. How you know my name is Elena, and I'm going to talk about my discussion. Is our planet the only universe? The reason why I choose this video is because I find it interesting, as many scientists, the huge mystery we have in our universe. People are always asking, are we the only species in this universe, or do we have more possibilities than just we know? Personally, I feel so curious about the cosmos and all the infinite mysteries it has in it. This video discusses that a few months the Nobel Prize in Physics discovers as one of the most important astronomical observations ever. Brian Greene tells us about the highly controversial framework for explaining the discovery, namely the possibility that way beyond the Earth, the Milky Way and the other distant galaxies, we may find that our universe is not the only universe. He explains that the part of the vast complex of the universe that he calls the multiverse. The idea of the multiverse is a strange one. It is very weird. Most of us were raised to believe that the word universe means everything. But bearing such an anonymous upbringing is strange to imagine other realms separate from us. Most fundamentally different futures that would rightly be called universe of their own, and yet, as Kubitschek told the idea surely is, he was aimed to convince us that there's reason for taking it seriously. I just may be right. He told the story of the universe in 3 parts. In part 1, he described those Nobel Prize winning results and the highly profound mystery which those results revealed. In part 2, he offered the solution to the mystery, which is based on an approach called streaming theory. And that's where the idea of the multiverse will come into the story. And in part 3, he described the cosmological theory called inflection, which pulled all the pieces of the story together. Part 1 started back in the 1929, when the great astronomer Edwin Hubble realized that the distant galaxies are rushing away from us, established that the space itself is stretching. It's expanding. It was revolutionary. The prevalent wisdom was one of the largest escalate that the universe was static. People talk that the universe, it was moving error. But there was one thing that everyone was certain of. The expansion must be slowed down. He made an example and explains that the gravitational pulse of the Earth is low, the axis of an apple up slower. It's like you take an apple and you throw it to the space. You can see how the apple can move slowly because of the gravity. In 1990s, where 2 teams of astronomers were inspired by the reasoning of measuring the rate at which the expansion has been slowing. So they did a
Painstaking.
Oh yeah.
Difficult. Painstaking.
Yeah. Observation of numerous distant galaxies, allowing them to chart how the expansion rate has changed over time. they found that the expansion is not slowing down. Instead, they found that it's speeding up and going faster and faster. The Nobel Prize raised an analogous question. What force is driving all the galaxies rushing away from every and ever quickening speed? Why or what is the force that causing all the galaxies being apart and rushing together? The most promising answer comes from an old idea of Einstein. His general theory of relativity that gravity can also push things apart. According to Einstein math, if a space is uniformly filled with invisible energy, sort of like a uniform invisible mist, then the gravity generated by the mist will be repulsive energy. Repulsive energy or repulsive gravity of an invisible energy in a space, now called as dark energy. Repulsive gravity will cause each galaxy to push against each other, driving expansion to speed up, not to slow down. In part 2, he talked about the string theory. He tells us 3 key things about the string theory.
Theory.
Or theory.
Okay.
First, a string theory is an approach to realize Einstein's dream of a uniform theory of physics. A single framework that will be able to describe all the forces at work in the universe. The central idea of the string theory says that if you examine any piece of matter ever more finely, at first you find molecules, and then you find atoms and subatomic particles. But the theory says that if you could prove a smaller, much smaller than can be existing technology, you'll find something else inside the particles. A little tiny vibrating filament of energy. A little tiny binding stringing. And just as stringing of a violin, you can imagine and you can compare how they can vibrate in different partners producing different musical tones. If you think about it, when you play music or you play an instrument, the vibrating molecules make the sound. That's how it gets into your ear. They produce different kinds of particles: electrons, quarks, neutrinos, photons. All of the particles will be united into a single frame as they are raised from vibrating string. But there is a cost of this elegant unification. Years of research have shown that the math of a string theory doesn't quite work. Extra dimensions of space. We all know about those 3 unusual dimensions of space as height, width, and depth. But a string theory says that on fantastic small scales, there are additional dimensions cropping to a tiny size, so small that we have not detected them. So if we knew the shape of the extra dimensions, we should be able to calculate these features, call it as the amount of the dark energy. There is so many candidate shapes of the extra dimensions, each giving rise to the different physical features. The string theory would never make definite stable predictions.
What just happened? Okay, well, just continue.
All right.
You can all see her. I don't know what's happening.
But there is an idea. Maybe each of these shapes is on equal footing in every other. Each is as real as every other. In the sense that there is a mini universe, each with a different shape, each with extra dimensions. And this radical proportion has a profound impact on this mystery. If there are other universes, and if those universes each have different shapes of extra dimensions, then the physical feature of each universe will be different, and particular, the amount of dark energy in each universe will be different. Which means of explanation that the amount of the dark energy we know now, the measure we take on a wholly different character. In this context, the law of physics cannot explain one number of the dark energy because there isn't one number. There are many numbers. The great astronomer Johannes Kepler, who has obsessed to understand the difference of the number, and he made a great question. Why the sun is 93 million miles away from the earth? He worked for decades trying to explain this number, but he never succeeded. And we know why. Kepler was asking the wrong question. We now know that there are many planets at a wide of different distance from the host star. Hoping that the laws of physics will explain one particular number, 93 million miles, but that is simply run ahead. Instead, the right question to ask is, why do we humans find ourselves on a planet at this particular distance instead of many of other possibilities? That's a question we can answer. Those planets which are closer to the star of the sun will be so hot that our form of life wouldn't exist. And those planets that are so much farther away from the star of the sun, they are so cold that our form of life wouldn't exist either. So we found ourselves on our planet at this particular distance simply because it just are conditional features of our form of life. And finally, the third part, or part 3, is such a mechanism has been found by cosmologists trying to understand the Big Bang. When we speak about the Big Bang, we often have imagined a kind of cosmic explosions that create our universe and set space rushing outward. But there is a little secret. The Big Bang leaves out something pretty important: the Bang. It tells us how the universe evolved after the Bang, but it gives us no insight into what would have powered the Bang itself. And this gap was finally filled by an enhanced version of the Big Bang theory. The Big Bang giving rise to our universe is likely not a one-time event. Instead, the food not only generates our Big Bang, but it will also generate countless of others Big Bangers, each given to its own separate universe, which is mean that it's not a Big Bang that happens once. It happens every time we have a new galaxy, and people really know why. Our universe becoming but one bubble in a we can see all the galaxies as example of a bubble bag of universe.
Mhm.
And now, when we know this with a string theory, each of this universe has the extra dimension, take a wide variety of different shapes, just different physical features. And we find ourselves in a universe instead of another simple, because it's not only our universe that physical features has. Like the amount of the dark energy are right for our form of life to take hold. And this is the compelling but highly controversial picture of the wider cosmos have now led us to seriously consider.
Mhm. Great. Question.
That's the end of my summary. I hope that you guys understand better of what I explained. The interesting part of this video, I think that the most interesting part of the video of this video the summarizing was the part that when Brian Greene explained the repulsive energy, which is called black or dark energy.
Mhm.
How physics just has taught us that the string theory has three dimensions: height, width, and depth. But there are additional dimensions inside of them that we not even haven't detected. And the last one is, how could every galaxy or dimension could have different numbers of dark energy? Now guys, I have some questions for you. Have you ever thought about the universe and its expansion? Do you believe that we are not the only universe? What do you guys think about it?
I think that we're not the only universe, but I don't know if there are like other creatures or like people on other universe, but I know that we're like the only one so far that has like people living on it.
That's true. And he said it in the explanation. Why is the reason? Because we are in a particular space that can allow us to our form of living.
Mhm. Great.
Someone else? You have questions? Do you understand what I said? A little bit.
I think your explanation was really good. I think it was really strong, and it helped me, who had a lot of questions after I watched the video, understand really what the most important points to take away were. So I think that was a fantastic summary.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Who else have questions? You guys have to participate.
You do have, you're being graded on your participation, so you have to answer her questions.
So I still have a question about the
Yeah.
dark energy.
Sure.
I find it interesting. Like,
Me too, right?
yes, like the parts we can see.
All right. Yeah. So it's about the additional dimensions. We used to know, because of the physics, that we have three dimensions. That is height, width, and depth. But what happened next is that in each shape that we have additional dimensions, which it means that we have different dark energy. So by physics, they just discovered one number, that it is a huge number if you guys saw the video.
Mhm.
But if we really think about it, each dimension has different numbers and different cycles, dark energy, that we even haven't know because we don't know how to solve them. So that's one of the mysteries that we have right now.
Mhm. So essentially each universe has at the very foundation a string.
Yeah,
Right.
it have a
The s-
different number.
And the string has a different dimension. So we live in the third dimension, right? So that means we go by, our law of physics goes by length, width, and height. But in all of the other universes that exist, there's that small string, again, that tiny foundation of everything. And that has different dimensions. And it might be 4, 5, it might be 130. And that just is the shape, right? And so there are like billions of different dimensions that are represented by this single string, right? And so that little string and the dimensions that it carries governs the physical environment of the universe, right? So our environment is the way it is because of that single string that is 3-dimension,
Yeah.
right?
That's the reason he explained that the string theory is Einstein dream that pulls together all the theories of force together.
Mhm.
Because that's the one. If he made the 3 dimensions, he discovered the 3 dimensions. But also we have the theory of the dark force who's put together all the forces. And that was his dream.
Mhm.
Have a law that can put together all the forces. And there is this dream theory.
Mhm. Great. Other comments?
Concerns, thoughts.
Somehow it was nice one in geography. My teacher was talking
Geography.
Elena science, but so far people.
Yeah.
Planets. 11. Well, yeah, within our universe. Right.
Imagine all different universes and billions of universes that we have apart from us. Could you imagine that? It doesn't sound interesting.
Yes.
It does, right?
My question is the big man. It makes me wonder a little bit.
Of course. What we know about the Big Bang is that was a particular thing that exploded. And that's how it creates the universe. That's how it creates the galaxies. But the main point in this summarize or in this video, it was that people think that it just was one Big Bang that created our universe. But he explained that maybe other Big Bangs happens and create other universe. So that's the topic. That's the mystery there. It really happens. We really have other universe.
Why is this happening? But so we don't know much more about the Big Bang. I think maybe move your arms, guys. I think it might be motion activated. Move your arms. See? Yeah. See, I'm not crazy. I'm like, there has to be, this is not a mystery, right? Where the mystery is the Big Bang. Yeah.
It is.
So Grace, you had a comment?
I have a question about, because it says that there is like a lot of universe besides.
Multiverse.
Yeah, multiverse. So what is those multiverse like? What we found here?
Alright. The multiverse is what he explained about that we have different universe. And the multiverse is explained by the reason why we could have more universe. Like how he explained that we have the Big Bang that created all the universe, how we have the dark energy that can create it, or is the evolution of every universe. So the multi-universe is his meaning of saying that we have different universe, or more than one.
Grace, did you ask what was in the other
Yeah,
universe?
also what was in
We don't know. We'll never know. We'll probably never know.
Yeah.
And I think that it's interesting, and as like a closing comment. And so I want to give you probably 10 minutes at the start of class on Wednesday, so that if there are more questions, and I hope there are because only 4 of you ask questions, I write down your names, you know. That way you can, no, next you'll have to wait, okay? But he says that, you know, all of this is wonderful, right? We've advanced so much. But the worst part is that in a couple of 100 years, maybe scientists will look at what we've done and the research that has already been confirmed, right? And say, this is crazy. This is not possible.
They don't want to find nothing because the suspension is speeding up. So they're going so far away that they don't want to find them.
Right. So the dark energy, right, is repulsing all of the universes away from each other. And so we can't see them now with the advanced technology that we have, right? And that's because everything's so far away. We're just speculating. We're just assuming because of this dark matter, we know that it exists, right?
Yeah, and they have these
So we assume that there's more outside, right? But if people in the future, scientists in the future, look at our research and say, you know, this doesn't seem right. We have more advanced technology and we can't see any other universes, right? So they'll say, oh, those people of the past were crazy. There's nothing out there. We're the only ones. So it's really interesting. We're at a really cool time right now.
That's
So.
why I choose this period.
Yeah, no, really cool video. So guys, please, I have a couple of things I want to mention, Elena, but let's give her an applause because I think you did a really great job at explaining. I think it's a really complicated topic. Even if you've heard of it and thought about it before, I think that there's a lot to think about. So I do want you to, for Wednesday, know that Elena is going to have 10 more minutes.
Yeah,
So
and
that
I
if you
have
have,
another question, so
Okay.
you can have more thoughts or.
and so it'll be 10 minutes, okay? Because I want everyone to have the same amount of time for these. So think about that. All right. Thank you.